close. And allow yourself to sit comfortably, not rigid, but just comfortably and stable. And especially allow the breath to flow freely. And just allow yourself to drop inwards. As usual in our meditation, begin by drawing that awareness away from the constant movement in the outside world. Draw that breath away. Drop that awareness away from the constant movement and change of the objects of the senses. Draw that awareness away from the ups and downs of the thoughts in the mind, the fluctuations of emotions and feeling states. Just draw that awareness away from all of that and bring it into your breath. Just allow yourself, there's nothing to do. You're simply being aware. That's just it. You're just aware. Just aware of the breath fully as it flows into you and flows out of you. Most of the time when we focus on the breath, we focus on it in our lungs or our rib cage, high up in our chest. But instead of that, allow yourself to focus on the breath very low down in your abdomen, below your belly button. Draw that awareness of your breath down from the rib cage and lungs and into this beautiful powerhouse of energy that's just below your navel. There's an energy center, a chakra, called the Swadhisthana chakra, which is just about 2 inches below your belly button. And I want you to draw the awareness of your breath there. So as you inhale, you can picture that energy center as a lotus flower. And as you inhale, picture the petals of the lotus flower of that chakra, that energy center, opening as you inhale. And as you exhale, just allow yourself to drop back into that center. The Sanskrit word Swadhisthana literally means the place of the self. Swa is self, stan is place. So Swadhisthana is place of the self. So allow your awareness to be anchored into your breath at that Swadhisthana chakra. Take the inhalations and exhalations from there. If the mind wanders, don't worry, just bring it back. If you get distracted, don't worry. Just bring the awareness back to your breath. The outer world is always there with noises and smells and sensations. But allow yourself to have control over where your awareness goes. Bring it back to the breath. And on the next inhalation, as you inhale, allow that breath to rise. You inhale from the Swadhisthana chakra, and then allow that breath to rise through you. Allow it to rise through the energetic being, all the way up until it gets to your third eye center, what we call the Agya chakra, just between the two eyebrows. And then exhale and let it drop back down. So on the inhalations, the breath is rising upward from the Swadhisthana chakra, low in our abdomen, below the belly button. And on the inhalations, it's rising from there all the way up to the third eye center between the eyebrows, the Agya chakra. And on the exhalations, it drops back down to the Swadhisthana chakra. So take some inhalations and exhalations at your own pace. And if you can't carry the breath all the way up to the third eye on one smooth and unbroken inhalation, don't worry. Don't stress yourself, don't push it, don't strain it. Just allow the breath to rise as high as it can naturally and easily. And then drop it back down to the Swadhisthana chakra. But as you're doing that, keep the power of your intention on the third eye center. So even if the breath isn't actually rising all the way there, that power of your inner eye, the power of your intention, is focused on the third eye. So it's bringing all of that energy there. Just allow yourself to take some inhalations and exhalations easily at your own pace, moving between the Swadhisthana chakra and the Ajna chakra, between the low abdomen and the third eye. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open your eyes. Welcome to Satsang. It's a very powerful meditation, and it's one I would really recommend practicing. It's very difficult right from the first go to get the breath slowly and smoothly, unbroken, up here. Don't worry about it. Even if you can just get it to here. However high it comes naturally and easily, just bring it there. What you'll notice over time of practicing is it will rise higher and higher. But as long as the intention is here and that power of the inner eye is here, then it's drawing the energy up, even if the breath itself isn't able to come up so high. So it's a really powerful meditation for opening up the third eye, that beautiful, sacred, divine sight. And starting as always with a question from our beautiful family joining us through the gifts of technology, or from those who are here who have given in questions that they didn't want to raise their hands and ask in person. And then we will open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. I attempted the practice of Neti Neti this morning and discovered I had a mental block against I am not my heart and I am not my brain matter. In that obviously I can't keep living if my heart stops, and I can't continue as me, the the me that I and others think of as me if I have a major brain injury. I had an awakening experience in which I learned that of course I'm not either of these things. I am infinite creator and creation all. But as I'm trying to find my way back to that knowing, I got stuck here today. So a couple of days ago, this question arose out of a discussion we were having a few days ago about the practice of Neti, which is a very powerful meditative practice, but one that I also suggest you do during the day, even when you're not seated with your eyes closed, which is a practice of literally saying, not this, not this. Now, the seated eyes closed practice, as I was describing, is one in which we go through bit by bit of what we're not. I'm not my clothes, I'm not the skin, I'm not the blood, I'm not the bones, I'm not the organs. You do it more slowly, but since I'm just recapping, I'll go through it quickly. And then slowly you get to, I'm not my organs. And then eventually you get to, I'm not my thoughts, not my emotions, not my memories, because I know that I'm not a brain chemical. I'm not a neurotransmitter. I'm not an electrical impulse. And every single thought, memory, emotion, feeling is just a pattern of electricity and chemical reactions. So the questioner is saying, I did the practice today and I found myself stuck, and I'm not my heart and I'm not my brain because A, I can't live if my heart stops, and B, if I have a severe brain injury, well, then I'm no longer the person who I and others recognize as me. So we are stuck in what I would call a semantic definition difficulty of who's the I we're defining. The I that's the body, well, most definitely you are all of the aspects of the body. The I that's the body is, it's the skin, it's the color of the skin, it's the age, it's the size, it's the shape, it's all of that. So as far as the aspect of my heart, because if it stopped, I would die. Well, of course you would die if the heart stopped. You would die if your liver failed. You would die if both your kidneys failed. You would die if your lungs failed. You would die if your blood got poisoned. I mean, there's a whole host of things that could happen to different aspects of the body that would cause death to the body. But the I we're talking about is not the body. The I we're talking about is that true self. Whether we say soul or spirit or consciousness or divinity or love or truth, it's that which isn't dependent on the body. It's that which, as my body has changed so many times since I was young, it's that part which stays consistent, right? We've been saying me and I and mine. I was talking about I and mine today in Arti as the ego demons who the goddess of today, Kalaratri, annihilated. But we've had them, we've lived with them for a really long time, since most of us were really young. 2 tends to be about the age that kids start to say, me and mine, I. It's an age of autonomy. But the body has changed an infinite number of times since you were 2. Your skin cells regenerate every few days. Even the internal organs regenerate every 7-8 years. So your physical body continues to change. But there's no loss of continuity of I. It's not I got sunburned and I peeled, and in the moment that I was peeling, that my skin was peeling, I lost a sense of I. That doesn't happen. I could have third-degree burns, God forbid, and lose most of my skin, but I would still be I. The I is that which is continuous. Liver damage, kidney damage, liver transplant, kidney transplant, peeling skin, weight gain, weight lose, amputated limb. There's nothing you can do to the body that would make me stop feeling like I. So the I we are talking about is the I that is independent of the body. So heart stops beating, body dies. But I is that which continues. In the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2 of the Gita, Bhagavan Krishna gives a very, very famous teaching to Arjuna about who he is. You are that. Because Arjuna, of course, says, oh my God, I could die. I'm going to kill them. And Bhagavan Krishna basically says, in a more polite way, but basically he says, and who are you to suddenly be the one who gives life, who takes life? Who are you? You're not the giver of life or the taker of life. You're not that body that could die or the body that you might take. You are the one who cannot be burned by fire, who cannot be cut by knives, who cannot be wet with water or dried by the wind. You are the one who was never born and who will never die. It's that I we're talking about. So that's the heart issue. Then in terms of the issue of the brain and the idea that if I had a severe brain injury, well, I would no longer be the I that I recognize or that others recognize. And that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. I've witnessed it very personally with my mother, who had a very, very severe brain hemorrhage 2.5 years ago. Has no memory of who she is or who any of us are. But she's still there. She's undeniably there. The fact that she couldn't tell you her name doesn't mean she's not there. The fact that she's not nearly as conversational as she once was doesn't mean she's not there. She's just there in a different way. Her personality isn't there. Her memory isn't there. Her agenda for me as my mother isn't there. Her memory that she even is my mother isn't there. In fact, recently we were having a conversation, because she does speak, and she was saying something about the mother. The mother is wonderful. I mean, she was just speaking very generally about a wonderful mother. And I said, whose mother? And she said, your mother. And I said, well, you know, you are my mother. And she said, really? She said, wow. So she has no idea, but she's still there. Her memory's not there, her personality's not there, but she's there. She can't do what she could do, but she's there. So even though her brain was severely damaged, devastatingly damaged, and it removed all of that you would have recognized as my mom. Other than physically, there is nothing else in her that you would say, oh yeah, that's my mom. I mean, every once in a while, maybe every 6 months or so, she'll say one line out of the blue that just cracks us all up because suddenly it sounds like mom's back. But otherwise, there's nothing about her that you would recognize. But she's still there. because she's not her personality. She's not the brain that was damaged. In the same way that if you take a whole bunch of drugs, drink a whole bunch of alcohol, your brain essentially, although typically only temporarily, is really damaged. It's why people do all kinds of stupid things when they're drunk or under the influence that later they say, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I'm so embarrassed. That wasn't me. They say to their friends, why did you let me do that? That wasn't me. Because we had simply temporarily chemically changed the brain. But the person is still there, even acting and behaving in ways that normally they never would. Chemically damaged to the brain temporarily. They haven't gone someplace. And so Neti is the practice of recognizing I'm not my personality. I'm not that which people recognize. I'm not my intelligence. I'm not my sense of humor. I'm not the jokes that I tell. I'm not the identity. I'm not the history that I remember or don't remember. I'm not the relationships that I remember or don't remember. Who I am is beyond personality, beyond memory, beyond emotion, beyond feeling state. And that's what we tap into in that practice of Neti.
Thank you. Do you believe in God, like when you think about God and you pray, you think about God like an energy or like a person, like we read in Bhagavad Gita? Thank you.
So do I think of God as an energy or a person? Yes. Not a person as in a finite individual who sometimes I can find and sometimes I can't. Not a person with likes or dislikes or wants or desires or fears or any of that. I think of God as mostly or I experience God rather, mostly as a presence that I can feel, that I can tap into. But I also love to think about God, sometimes as different incarnations. So I love, for example, I love Hanumanji. And especially, when you see Hanumanji mostly in the temples, not in the beautiful statue that we have, but mostly in temples, you'll see Hanumanji on one knee, just under Bhagwan Ram with his hands in prayer, just waiting for some instruction, waiting for Bhagwan Ram to need something. And I love that because it inspires me and it fills me with an energy of devotion that I feel when I sing the Hanuman Chalisa or pray to Hanumanji or see Hanumanji, that I become filled with some of that devotion, a bit of Hanumanji's devotion. And so I love to think of the divine in that way. But I also love to think of the divine in so many ways. I love to think of the divine as Bhagawan Krishna and to feel like he's driving the chariot of our lives and to just picture surrendering into that chariot, knowing that he's driving it, knowing that he knows where to go and there's no reason to be backseat driving when you've got God as the charioteer. So I love to also think about the divine in form because I find different aspects of inspiration, of faith in the different forms. But the experience of God is the experience of a presence that, yes, is definitely an energy. But when I think about energy, I tend to think of something that is sometimes less, sometimes more. You know, you think about sound, and we've got high volume, low volume, high frequency, low frequency. Or you think about light, and sometimes bright or dim or blue light or infrared light. And whereas for me, the experience of God is much more just a presence that has energy, of course, but that isn't a constantly changing energy in the way that most of the energy when we think of it in the world is. Of course. Other questions?
Sadhviji, I was watching your video this afternoon on today, day 7, Kalaratri and her qualities, and you use the term spiritual heart attack, and I haven't come across it before, and I was wondering, without using the analogy or taking it too far, what some of the symptoms are and the treatment, and are most of us here in some sort of spiritual cardiac risk, but I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that.
Thank you. Good. Yeah. It's easier not having to hold it. So, spiritual heart attack. I speak about a spiritual heart attack a lot when I'm talking about us being freed by that aspect of the divine, whether it's the Divine Mother, like today as we celebrate Kalaratri, or when we speak about Lord Shiva, as that energy that clears us. I think about it also with Ganga, that energy that washes through us, removing that which is keeping us stuck. So in a physical heart attack, we have a physical heart attack because our blood vessels are clogged. The blood is there. There's no problem with the blood at all. But the blood vessels are clogged. Junk, plaque, cholesterol. In that clogging of the blood vessels, the blood cannot flow through. So we have a heart attack. Spiritually, this happens when we are clogged up with junk, meaning false identities, the whole story that we tell ourselves about who we think we are. It clogs us up from grace. We pray for grace. But grace is there, like the blood is there in our bodies. But the channel gets clogged up. And it gets clogged up because of these false identities. It gets clogged up because of expectations that are either I'm waiting for them to be fulfilled, so I'm all nervous and stressed and holding on, or my expectation's going to be fulfilled. Or I'm frustrated and upset because they haven't been fulfilled. It gets clogged up because of attachments. We get very stuck with what we want, how we want it, when we want it. It gets clogged up with grudges. Who we're angry at, why we're angry, how the world has somehow injured us in some way. These are just some of the examples, but they clog up that channel so that grace is there, but we are unable to open to it because we are so stuck and clogged with this muck of I-ness and mine-ness and my story and here's who I am and here's why I can't, all the stories we tell ourselves. That's when you get a spiritual heart attack. And I would say the symptoms and signs of it are when you feel like you're unable to experience grace. When you're in that state, I think it was Albert Einstein who said there's two ways to live. Either that everything's a miracle or nothing is a miracle. And when you're in that state of nothing is a miracle, you're clogged. When you're in that state of it's all up to me, it's all about me, it's all up to me, you're clogged. When you find that your list of things that you need in order to feel okay every day is increasing and increasing. I need you to act in this way. I need you to be in this way. I need this to happen at this time. I need this to happen in this way. And that somehow, if any of those things doesn't happen in the right way, I can't be okay. And it comes out in our world as in, the reason I'm angry is because you. Or I was so peaceful and so happy and then you came home. Or then you said this, or you did this. Those are ways of knowing that your channel is clogged. And what's beautiful is it gets unclogged when we surrender it. No anesthesia needed, no big bypass surgery, no hospital stay, no expense. But we just really consciously and deliberately ask the universe, ask the divine to free us of that junk that is clogging us up. And we exhale and we let go and we forgive and we move on. And we ask ourselves all the time, is it worth it? Is this thing that I'm attached to, is this expectation that I have, is it worth the amount of stress and strain that it gives me? Is it worth it? Yes, I would much prefer that my kids kept their room clean. And is it worth the stress that I go through every single day when their rooms are messy? Probably not. yes, I would prefer that this person behaved in this way, or that this happened in that way. But when it doesn't, is it really worth my peace, my joy, my mental state, my spiritual freedom and openness to grace, just to make the world dance according to my tune? A spiritual heart attack to me, and I've certainly had plenty of them, fortunately none fatal, but they feel very much like a death grip on life. When you feel like you just can't let go. Your mind may know you want to. And sometimes you can even see yourself doing it. And you've got this death grip on something. Something has to be this way. And that's when you know that it's actually your own life you're suffocating. You thought you were holding on to something that someone else or the universe was going to do. But eventually you realize, oh my God, that death grip that I've got is actually on my own life. It's me I'm suffocating. And so you let go. Yes. Mike Vapestinanko.
I was wondering, as you were speaking about people completely clogged up in ignorance, and so I was wondering, in terms of what you're saying, is that really predicated on having some level of self-awareness and self-inquiry? Or for those steeped in ignorance, could it be something catastrophic that then brings them to their awareness?
Yeah, great. So we do first have to be aware that we're clogged in order to be able to let it go. And yes, as you say, sometimes it's something catastrophic. Sometimes the thing that wakes people up is tragedy. And it's why you will so frequently hear people who have survived some kind of terminal illness or awful accident or something will say things like, while I'd never wish it on someone else, I'm actually really glad that it happened to me, because due to that, my whole life has changed. Due to that, I have actually realized how to let go. I've realized what's important. But without that, yes, you absolutely do need a sense of awareness. A sense of, I'm suffocating. And, I've just given a lot of symptoms. But unfortunately, as with a physical heart attack in many cases, we only know it's there when we start suffering. It's a very rare soul whose blocked arteries are diagnosed before they have a heart attack. Mostly it is the suffering that actually takes us into the hospital. When we're aware that we are suffering spiritually, which we become more and more aware of as our lives go on and we get deeper and deeper in our practice, then we start to realize how much we're suffocated inside, and you start to let go and let go and let go and let go. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful practice. Wonderful. Yeah, last question in the back.
Thank you. So once you've realized that you're spiritually, on the path to a heart attack and you want to change it, uh, I have found it very difficult to practically apply what you're saying. So uh, I agree to everything that you said right now about letting go. But what is letting go? What does it actually signify? You let go of the person, the behavior, your reaction. How do you implement it in your day-to-day life?
Great. So when we really know we need to do it and we want to do it, how do we begin? How do we implement it in our daily life? Remembrance. That's all it is. It's just about remembrance. If, for example, because we work with different things spiritually. Sometimes we're working with mindfulness, sometimes we're working with letting go, sometimes we're working with loving kindness. We're working with different things, different aspects. But whatever it is, it's all about remembrance. Oh yeah, to be loving. Oh yeah, to be mindful. Oh yeah, to let go. And I recommend setting up your day in such a way that you have a lot of reminders. For example, every time before you drink or eat anything, just take a moment. You're about to pick up a glass of water. And just before you do, just before you pick it up, you take a moment. And you allow. You drop in. You just remember. For the beginning, you have to keep remembering, but then it becomes automatic. For me now, every time I pick something up before I drink it or eat it, there's just an automatic, momentary dropping in. But the other piece is you have to be prepared to let go of that which is keeping you stuck. It's not enough just to remember, you have to actually be willing. Because there are a lot of things that your spiritual life is not going to happily coexist with. Certain relationships, certain ways of being in relationship, certain ways of thinking, ways of speaking, ways of acting, ways of living. So you've got to be really, really, really clear that this is what you want. Because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for you. So if you've decided, for example, that you want to be free, that you want to let go of that death grip, well, the next time you are just about to yell at your child, your spouse, your friend, your partner, somebody on the freeway who cut you off, just when you're about to yell at them because they did something that you didn't want them to do, you've got to catch yourself. And you've got to make a conscious decision. I'm going to exhale and let it go. And a lot of times we're not prepared. So, but oh my God, if I don't tell them off, how are they going to know how I feel? They'll keep doing it. Well, but if I don't, I had to. I mean, the guy is a danger on the freeway. I had to flip him off and scream at the top of my lungs. So you've got to be prepared to let go of that which is blocking your spiritual channel. If you're holding on to a grudge, somebody hurt you, somebody betrayed you, and you're holding on to that, you've got to be prepared to let it go. And a lot of us feel like, well, who would I be without my grudges? They define us in so many ways. And somehow maybe if I let go of this grudge, then is that me telling the universe that I think it's okay that this person hurt me? And so we don't want to let go. And so what's most important is that you consciously decide you're going to let go. And you've got to do it really consciously and really deliberately and recognize these things I'm holding on to are what's keeping me stuck. I've got to let them go. And by the way, you can always pick them up again. If it turns out that what I'm saying is wrong, you'll pick them up again, get angry again, shout at people again, hold grudges again. You've got full freedom. But you've got to give it a try. What would my life look like if I just learned to exhale? If I just let go of this death grip on everything around me and on myself? Then you set your reminders. Beautiful. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. We can start with your question tomorrow. We'll start with yours tomorrow, okay? A beautiful, beautiful evening to all of you. And just as a reminder, we have this very beautiful Ram Leela dance drama being performed down on the Ghat, where we have the Ganga Arati, but to the left of that, on the flat Ghat. And it runs from 8 to 10 every night for 5 nights. And you are more than welcome and encouraged to join us there. Even if you don't speak Hindi, don't worry. The dances are beautiful, the drama is beautiful. So we encourage everyone, after you've had dinner, to go down and enjoy the Ram Leela. And have a beautiful evening, and so much love to you all.